Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Apologies for being away for so long. Had some stuff going on in my personal life that had to take care of. Anyway, I am back. And, lately I've been surfing around the internet and YouTube and everything and hearing about AI. And while I was taking care of some things, I was watching some anime. And I decided to go back in time to the early 2000s and watch an old anime that I really mm, back then wasn't really into, but now I've come a long way and I really did enjoy this. So the anime that I'm talking about today is Dot Hack Sign. Okay. Now, if you are a gamer, and I want to know in the comments how many of you are gamers, how much of you love gaming, you'll probably recognize that name. Now, if you're a gamer from the early 2000s, meaning like uh you know PlayStation 2, so on and so forth, right? You'll remember the Dot Hack series. And while I am not uh 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 experienced gamer, like the only thing I can really play with my limited vision is Mario Kart and stuff like that, but hey, um this was something that interested me. And Dot Hack Sign is based off of the game series Dot Hack. Okay. Now, I'm not going to come to you in this video and, say, hey, if you want to get into Dot Hack media, this is where you start, because I'm so confused that I don't even know where to start. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I've heard games, I've heard Dot Hack Sign is a good place to start. So, and to get the whole story, it's like a long, essentially it's like the MCU, right? You got to do homework in order to understand these things. But what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the series Dot Hack Sign. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about, I want to go into talking Dot Hack Sign. I want to talk about a little bit of Sword Art Online in this video, and I want to talk about AI. Okay. And this watching Dot Hack Sign and also rewatching Sword Art Online really got me thinking about not just the future of gaming, but the future of AI. And I know that there's a lot of people that are relatively scared about AI, right? And whether it be robots taking over, or AI art, or so on and so forth. A lot of people are either, it's like you're on one side of the fence, right? Either you're not a big fan of AI, you're scared about it, you're like, oh no, this can't happen, this is dumb, don't let the, whatever. Or you're on the other side, which is like, hey, okay, AI allows us to do the things that maybe we couldn't do before. You know, we can make our own TV shows, we can make our own movies, we can tell our own stories, we can create our own characters, we can, you know, advance the lives of human life, or so on and so forth, right? So it's a back and forth. So I thought in this video I would take some time to not only talk about Dot Hack Sign and maybe compare it to Sword Art Online, but just talk about AI. And this is my answer to AI. So let's get into it. But before we do, if you guys would mind doing me a favor, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the algorithm with my videos and my channel. YouTube is up to some shenanigans. I'm sure you probably heard of it. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I'm just going to say it like this. For small content creators like me, I guess YouTube has decided that I guess I'm not worth anything, and they want to go to more like the big subscriber, or not the big subscribers, but the big YouTube channels, and then so on and so forth. It's a catastrophe. Okay, so please like, share, and subscribe. Like the videos; it really does help the algorithm. Share this sucker out there with your friends, your neighbors, your family over Thanksgiving, whatever you want to do. And yeah, leave a comment, because it does help the interaction with the video, everything like that. So, just a short little request on my part. And yes, you probably will be hearing me say this again at the end of the video. But with that being said, let's get into some dot hack. Let's go into the virtual world. So, let me just start off by saying that the way that I understand dot hack is it takes place in an MMO game known as the World. Okay. Now, if you don't know what MMO is, it's like, don't ask me honestly. I'm probably gonna get it wrong when I say this. So, gamers, help me out. I think it's like multimedia online or something like that, right? But anyway, a little bit of backstory about the world. The world is like the latest and greatest game that's out, and but it comes with a little bit of controversy. There are some strange things going on in the world, like, you know, uh, for some inexplicable, unexplainable reason, people are falling into a coma and da 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 da. Right? Okay. So, and then of course, also in the world, there's this thing that is called the Key of the Twilight. It's like this legendary item, and people go searching for it, but there's also a debate on whether or not it exists. And then also, too, you're following around. Well, you're not following necessarily, but you're also trying to protect this. I want to say this AI girl named Aura. And when I say it's all convoluted and I even get confused, it's all convoluted and even I get confused. Okay. But talking about HackSign, we basically follow this character named Sukasa. Okay. And Sukasa isn't your average ordinary player, excuse me. Sukasa can't log out of the game. Literally cannot log out. Now, Sukasa is in a class known as Wave Master. By the way, there are like different classes, right? So if you think MMO games, if you think like Sword Art Online, there's like different, different classes, right? Or what's a good name? Not Final Fantasy. Um, or think of your favorite games, right? So like, you got tanks, you've got DPS, you've got attack, stuff like that. Or in Star Wars, the Old Republic game, you have the different classes, right? So you have Jedi, you have Jedi Master, you have Jedi Consular, you have Jedi Sentinel, you have Bounty Hunter, Smuggler, um, Imperial Agent, Republic Trooper, um, Sith Lord, Sith Inquisitor, Sith Warrior, um, you know, stuff like that, right? Get where I'm going here? So you have different classes, and Tsukasa belongs to the Wave Master class. And the classes that you have in this game known as the World, you have the Heavy Sword, you have the Swordsman, you have Heavy Axe, and you have, I believe you have the Wave Master. And each one of these has different characteristics, right? So anyway, again, so anyway, we're following Sukasa, and Sukasa is a Wave Master, but he can't log out. No matter what he does, he can't log out, and he's also completely antisocial. Okay, now for those of you that know HackSign, you know that in the real world, Sukasa is actually a girl. But for the sake of the video, we're going to refer to his or their in-game character, her in-game character, which is a boy. That and because, and I'll get to this a little bit later, because he can't log out because he's actually in the game, Tsukasa actually thinks he's a boy in real life, but we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, Tsukasa meets up with this girl named Mimiru. She has a heavy sword, but like he thinks she's annoying. He basically teleports away from her, and like I said, he's antisocial, right? Now, because Tsukasa can't log out of the game, he is an anomaly within the world. And that leads people to believe that he might have something to do with Key of the Twilight. That also leads people to believe that he's a hacker, and so on and so forth, right? However, this is where I'm going to get to the point of where Tsukasa believes he's a guy and not a girl, is because he was actually um, as a buddy of mine put it, he was actually isekai'd or troned into this uh, virtual world by an AI system that wanted to corrupt the AI girl known as Aura. Remember that name? And here's the thing to give you a little backstory on Tsukasa, in the real world, Tsukasa, who is this girl, is actually how do I want to put this? This again, this is what I get from the story is Tsukasa is being abused both mentally and physically and emotionally in the real world. Her mother has passed away and her father isn't treating her well. And so she uses the world as kind of like a refuge to get away from her normal life. It's her way of freedom. The AI realizes this and tries to capitalize on Tsukasa's depression, on Tsukasa's misery, on her sadness, on everything. So the AI who wants to corrupt Aura tries to create clones of Tsukasa, the in-game character, but is unable to do that because it is unable to replicate Tsukasa's depression. So it goes to the next best thing, which the evil AI program decides, I'm going to bring this kid who's depressed into the virtual world so that I can feed all of their negative energy into Aura to not only keep her asleep but to corrupt her so that when she wakes up, essentially she'll be, you know, corrupted and negative and help me take over the world, right? However, it doesn't really work out that way. And the AI loses because Tsukasa realizes that all those around him are trying to help him. And so we meet some other characters along the way. I've already mentioned Mimiru, who's a heavy sword. There's Bear, who's also a heavy sword. There's Sora, who's a swordsman, and he uses double blades. He's also a player killer. Well, actually, he just intimidates other players because he's very lonely and he wants friends. Although he goes about doing it the wrong way, when it comes to making friends because rather than just introducing himself, he just yeah, it's a thing, right? You come to find out at the end of the show that Sora's pretty lonely and he wants to make friends and so on and so forth. Okay. Then you meet BT. BT is a wave master, and while through the entire series it may seem like she's being a villain, but really I don't want to say she's in it for herself, but basically you see where yeah, she's kind of a loner until like she takes an interest in Bear, and believe you me, there is something there between them. It's even kind of hinted throughout the series that there is something that she likes Bear. Um, Moving on, we have a girl named um, oh crap, Subaru, and she is the captain of the Crimson Knights. She's treated like royalty. She's treated like a princess. There's also the Silver Knight, who is like her bodyguard and protector. There's Crimson of the Lightning. He was in the Crimson Knights, but now he's a solo player, but he still comes to help Subaru from time to time. They do also, if you are a Dot Hack player, they do reference some of the characters from the Dot Hack games, like Kite, Belmung of the Azure Sky, and I forget the other dude of the Azure and Sea. I forget. Um, but they do reference those. They do reference Black Rose, and so on and so forth. But all in all, this is a cute little. this is a good little story. This is a good story. However, I will tell you that if you are going to watch .HackSign, or if you've seen .HackSign, it is a slow burn. Okay, it is a slow burn. But here's the thing: I would compare it to, say, Freerin, because Freerin is a slow burn. I love the pacing of Freerin. You all know this. But I also love the pacing of .HackSign because it does show character growth. In the beginning, we see where Tsukasa wants to be on his own. He doesn't want to be disturbed on anyone. He just wants to be left alone and everything like that. And then throughout the story, we come to see that Tsukasa starts to trust Mimuru a little bit more. He starts to trust Subaru a little bit more. He comes to trust Bear and BT a little bit more. He comes to trust um, Grim and Sora, and to the point where he no longer wants to be alone. He no longer wants to listen to the AI who's trying to manipulate him. He wants to be with his friends. Wants to he wants to log out. He wants to go home. And to the point where he summons up his courage and he realizes that he has to make the choice of whether he's going to continue to be alone and scared and afraid, or he's going to step up and he's going to be there when his friends need him the most. I think you can figure which choice he makes. But um but I really did enjoy .HackSign to the point where I watched it 2 times in a row, and I enjoyed it. And it was fun to go back to the early 2000s and see that type of anime style and watch that type of story. By the way, the soundtrack in .HackSign is just superb. It is just amazing. Um, the from the opening theme song, which is done by Seesaw, to the ending theme song, which is also done by Seesaw, it is just ethereal, heavenly music, and it is just awesome. So that's .HackSign. So here's the comparison between .HackSign and Sword Art Online. Both anime take place in the virtual world. Okay? And now, while we know that Akihiko Kayaba in Sword Art Online created Sword Art Online and basically trapped everyone in the real world, right? We know that in .HackSign, it was the AI that trapped Tsukasa, so it was only one person, right? Um, but both of these stories take place in the real world. Or not in the real world, excuse me, the virtual world, right? And here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? The question comes into play is, which is reality, right? And hear me out. In Sword Art Online, we know that time passes to where everyone is hooked up to their nerve gear, and it's like eventually the virtual world becomes reality. Well, the same thing can be said in .HackSign. For Tsukasa, when he's trapped there by the AI, the virtual world of the game becomes his reality. But here's the thing: if you stay in virtual reality long enough, eventually, do you start believing that it's reality? Is it possible to think that? Now, here's another thing, right? Here's another thing. Because if you remember in the later seasons of Sword Art Online, Sword Art Online Alicization, right? You could, here's Alice, who is essentially an artificial intelligence who is brought to the real world who's given a body, who inhabits a body, and she is an AI. Now in the world, in the game of Sword Art Online, well, not Sword Art Online, but you know what I mean. If you've seen Alicization, she's just it's not just that she's another character, she's a living person. She's a person. So here's the thing. Now, I'm not trying to advocate that artificial intelligence is an actual person, okay? There are robots and stuff. And I might be going all over the grid here, so forgive me. But my thing is that artificial intelligence, depending on how it is programmed, you're always going to need a human element for an artificial intelligence, right? And while, yes, we've all seen the Terminator movies and we've all seen the sci-fi movies where the AI takes over and thinks that humans aren't worth anything, okay? But before all that, there is a human component. You're always going to need a human component, right? To program the AI, and there's going to be things that the AI isn't going to get right, right? It's true. There are going to be some things that the AI isn't going to get right, and that's where human element comes into play, because we can ultimately correct things that maybe the AI doesn't get right, right? Take for example, take for example, in .HackSign, it was up to the developers to help the players defeat the evil AI, to awaken Aura, to purify her, to awaken her, and to help Tsukasa get back to the real world, right? That's what it's supposed to do, right? And it took the game devs and the hackers to delete the data, to delete the evil data and stuff like that, right? Sword Art Online, same thing. It took everybody's help to not only free Kirito from not only Aincrad, but also out the world of Alicization, so that the entire world would not be consumed by this evil, by an evil organization who wanted to use AI to take over the world. You see what I'm saying? There's always going to be a human component. So here's the thing. Is AI a good thing? Is AI a bad thing? Here's the thing. I get it. People are scared. Change isn't easy. And if I may interject some Star Wars into this, fear is a path to the dark side. Thank you, Master Yoda. But here's the thing. If people use AI, artificial intelligence, responsibly, then it could be helpful. Now, if you're going to use AI to say, I don't know, rip someone's art, or, take a Van Gogh painting and use AI, create the same painting with AI, and then take it as your own, well, then yeah, maybe AI is not a good idea. But if you're going to use it to create, excuse me, I am not editing that out. But if you're going to use AI to do good, and that's the thing, AI it has the potential to be good in the right hands. If you're willing to use AI for the greater good, then maybe, just maybe it's not so bad. But we must always remember, whether you are an artist or whatever your background is, you're always, if you think AI is going to take over for the good old-fashioned hand-drawn animation, or the hand-drawn art or painting. No, an artist will always be needed to create the beauty that is in our world. So that's .HackSign with a little bit of Sword Art Online mixed in somewhere in there. And also talking about AI, guys. So thank you for checking out this video. Gotta thank my subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. You guys, I couldn't do this without you. This is my 300th video on this channel, and I was gonna do something about Toonami. I'm sorry it took me so long because I made a Toonami part 1 video, but I was going to make a part 2, but I decided, you know what? I had so much fun watching .HackSign and Sword Art Online and everything else, so I decided to do something about this for my 300th video. So, anyway, we are so back. We're going to talk some more anime coming up, so don't go anywhere. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I make another video. And I will see you all real soon. Remember, wherever you are, wherever you're doing, go make it an anime day. Later.